best known is going to beat best. If I'm more known than my competition in my market, I'm going to get more at bats. I'm going to get more looks. I'm going to get more opportunities.
Hey, we just got done interviewing Brian Covey from Cross Country Mortgage, and this dude is just truly spectacular. Talk about just being a coach. Everything he does is coaching. It's interesting, even just talking to him, he's offering coaching advice in everything that he does. And all of that comes from this experience, right? Like past experience that he's willing to share with everybody. And this interview was really good. As you'll see, he's a man of faith. And to him, it's really important to serve families and do the right thing. So I loved talking to him about that. You're also going to see how he himself is willing to be coachable. So he's coachable and he loves to coach. And I think that's a sign of true success, right? He also said how to have an online presence and the importance of having that. Without online presence today, you got nothing. You're going to lose to a competitor, even if they're not as good as you. Play the game the way the game is being played. So interesting concept, right? So you're going to hear all about that, and then how to get through the lows of the industry. Even Brian Covey, who's been in the industry for a long time and has been uber successful at it, you're going to hear him say that he's thought about getting out of the industry several times, even recently. So listen to how he overcomes that, and hopefully that can help you out as well. I hope you're going to love this show as much as I did. Hey, everybody, this is Dino with the Way Podcast. We are here to equip, educate, and empower you with the absolute best in the business. And today I got one of the best, Brian Covey from Cross Country Mortgage. How you doing, Brian?
What's up, bro?
So, guys, I want to preface with, this guy here, Brian Covey. He is pretty remarkable. I've been following him a lot in the last couple months, and I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but I'm really attracted to who you are as a person, the way you do business, your ethos as I think just as a man, right, and a human being. And I'm really excited to have you here today because I want to pick your brain about everything.
Yeah, I'm excited to be with you, my friend. I was glad we got to hang out a little bit
Yeah,
last week too, in Colorado Springs at Housing Wire. So this is perfect timing.
that was fun, man. I got to ask you, is that not one of the best hotels you've ever seen?
Unbelievable. I was like, guys, I wish I could have stayed longer and come in earlier. Had my wife there would have been like ideal. I told her, so we're going to have to go back, but cool venue. And I will say it's so cool to be around great people like yourself. And there were other leaders, like especially real estate, title, people from like vendors we work with. They curated that room. It was every conversation I felt like was not some, at those conferences, sometimes you get into these conversations and you're like, man, I got to get out of here. Everyone, I was like, I want to talk to more people.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really impressed by the quality of people that were there and the openness of everybody, right? Like everybody was trying to be beneficial to somebody else. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, Brian, who are you today? Simple question. Like, who are you both personally and professionally?
Oh man, that's where I started my faith, man of God, and saved by grace, and married 23 years this year to my bride Nicole, and we had met in Memphis, and very thankful that she stayed with me through the ups and the downs and all the stuff over the years, especially in our crazy business and mortgage. And blessed to have 3 kids. I got our oldest, Presley's 18, Davis is our oldest son, 16, and then our little man Henry is 9. And so always something going on in our house. But they all play sports. I was telling you before we start, Nicole's in Texas right now with Presley. I just left after Colorado Springs out in Utah with Henry. And so we're all over the place. And so that's really my passion, is like to be a great dad, great spouse, great leader in the industry, former professional soccer player. And so that's a large part of where my competitiveness, my discipline, and had some great coaches, including my dad along the way and some others that led into, I think, how I show up today in the corporate athlete structure into business and really compete like it's a game. But man, I would say that that's the foundation of who I am. And really the reason I love these conversations is the lessons I've learned from sports and prior to coming into real business, right, over the last 23 years is who I've become along the way. There's different versions of Brian as I look back, and I'm still learning, still growing, somebody that has a growth mindset, still coach today, don't have it all figured out, but I've been through enough to where I've made enough mistakes. And so I believe showing up now is vital because people need those leaders and mentors like I had that helped me navigate through. And so
Yeah.
that's why I love these conversations, because you never know who you're going to be able to share something you've learned or something you're doing, inspire, and really encourage them to go take that next step.
So 2 questions from that little statement you made. One is soccer players have the most stamina I think I've ever been up against. So I played basketball and volleyball, and in college, my roommate was a soccer player, and he was a little guy, and I was a big guy. But man, nobody wore me down more than that little guy. He just never got tired.
Yeah.
So stamina in soccer, sports in general, right? How does that relate to business and how you function in the business world?
Oh man, well, I'll take you back to college. We had this test we would do. It's called the Cooper test, and everybody had to do it. Whether you're a goalkeeper, field player, freshman, senior, didn't matter. Like everyone did it. And I was a goalkeeper in college and professionally. And we came in. The Cooper test was running 2 miles in 12 minutes. Now, I couldn't dream of doing that today. I'm not that fast anymore. And then I remember, Dino, was like I would be training, and I was in Memphis, Tennessee, where if you think about in July, we ran in August in preseason, it's hot. Like not only is it hot, it's humid, and you're running through what you felt like was a fog. And every year I would train through that summer, building up 60 days, 90 days before that, and just work. Sometimes I would go late at night. I remember even running sometimes crazy, like at midnight, or I would run at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. before it got too hot, because that was like the coolest points of the day. In training for that, I will tell you one thing that I took away from that is everybody at some level, it wasn't all physical. It was this mental side that I didn't really learn until college, of what separated great high school athletes from college athletes wasn't always their physical ability. While there was some speed and agility and strength and power and all that, what I started to realize, and especially even in the pro ranks, was the mental side of the game mattered. And so why I share that story with you is I look back and I'm like, I was able to conquer something that was a fear. I was afraid of that test. I wasn't sure I was going to pass it. I wasn't sure if my teammates were going to pass it. If you didn't pass it, you had to run it the next morning. Like there's all these consequences to it. But I can look back on that, and I think everybody listening to this has something in their life that you've feared or you faced and you overcame it. By the way, I had to do that 4 years in a row. So it was like every year you knew the suck was coming. You just knew that was coming and you had to complete it. But think back to when you did something you didn't think you could do. Think back to that last time that you overcame a challenge and a struggle. And the other part to that story I want everybody to grab is not just what you do physically. Like we know what we do physically matters, but getting your mental game right, gratitude, making sure that you're focused on the day, you're intentionally focused on what you're doing. I learned that in sports, and to this day, dude, it's a separator. Great performers in business are also wired that way. They take on challenges, they complete them, and they're also mentally strong, because we know the ups and downs in our day, in our week, in our month. You're not promised a great day every day. And I always say this is, don't let one thing that happened to your day either get you too high on the pedestal, like where you just crushed it, or too low to where something didn't go your way and you get derailed. Being in the middle, great athletes are able to perform within that zone. That's what I call, and that's the sweet spot, and you find your rhythm. So that's what I would share that with you is, dude, learning that to today, I still need stamina. I still need pacing. I still need mental strength. I still need it to compete in business. And so I can pull back from that.
So that goes into my next question. You kind of said you did say you said gratitude, right? And then earlier you said your faith is who you are as a man today. And I have to say that was one of the things early on that just attracted me to you, is because so many people are afraid to talk about their faith in the business world, and you weren't. I'm not, but most people are.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, because you're I'm in a smaller environment, you're in this bigger corporate environment.
Yeah.
Has that ever been a problem?
Well,
and
not a
and why
problem,
do
but
you why do you do it so confidently?
it's taking time. And I will say this, anytime you stand for something, you just need to know there's going to be people that agree and don't agree with you. But if it's your belief, it's your core belief, and it's who you are, I try to do it in a way, and I think I do, not even try, like, I believe I do it in a way that's not offensive to people. Like, I'm not in your face, and I'm not calling people out. And I don't think that that's what, one, I don't think that's biblical to do that. And I think people are going to look at my example more than look at what I say. And so I always say this is, the reason I started to say these things is I wanted people to know, like, where does my strength come from? Like when I have my lows, like I've been through a tough season. Actually, most people wouldn't know this, but even the last 60 days, making a move to a new company, leaving my entire team behind, everything that I'd built, and going, man, I'm going to build this again. And I'm going to show people, because I coach a lot of people on this, is I'm going to show people how to build their team intentionally with the people they want to do business with. And I started over. Man, you talk about self-doubt, you talk about things that don't go your way. You talk about, there's been teams that I thought were going to come over that didn't come over. Some of them delayed. Like everything that you can imagine didn't happen the way that I expected some things to happen. And then there's other things that happen. I go, oh, that's great. That's a win. And I share all that with you because, like, without my faith, like, I really, I don't know where I would be in that journey. Like, I can't imagine. People turn to alcohol, they turn to other vices, they turn to things that are self-destructive. And for me, my faith has always been an anchor. And I believe, even reading this morning, like a verse, and I'll pull it up because I want to share it with you. I don't want to get it wrong. But I started to read this, and it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God." So that's Philippians 4:6. And so I read a verse every day, and I'll just say, for me, like, it grounds me to be a better husband, a better spouse, a better leader. Is I know in my life, when I am grounded and my faith is strong, that's what's got me through it. And so, man, wouldn't it be selfish for me to, like, keep that to myself? That's what gave me the courage to speak up. Is when people would ask me, like, man, why do you have hope? Why do you have joy? Why do you have all these things? I think it's actually who God created me to be. Is like, now, hey, Brian, you're this new creation. Like, why are you happy? Why do you have optimism? Why are you positive in the face of, my life ain't perfect?
Yeah.
Newsflash, it ain't. As much as I live that way and I'm positive and I want to put those things out, I battle those same demons probably that the listeners do. And even the other night, I was struggling. I told my wife, I said, just couldn't get to sleep. I had all these self doubts, all these things going through my head, and I just couldn't get to sleep. And like it was like the enemy was attacking me and all that. And I just remember going, the only thing you need to do is pray. I mean, honestly, it's like, because my brain was on this just weird trajectory. And so I share that with everybody so they know, like, you might see this version of Brian that shows up, but the only reason I'm able to show up that way confidently is because I've been through struggles and storms and known, like, I didn't die. I'm still here. It didn't break me to a point that I couldn't continue. And so, wouldn't it be selfish of me to keep that to myself?
Yep.
No way. I
And
wouldn't
I
keep
brought it
that.
up because I wanted you to know that your light does shine. And, sometimes people don't even know that about themselves, but it does. And, compliments to you for that. And I'm glad you do what you do because I think our world needs more of it. I think our industry needs more of it. So I'm just, I'm proud that you are doing that. All right.
Appreciate
So
you.
let's go back to day one when you started in the mortgage industry. How, why, where, when, all of it.
Oh, dude, a crazy story. So, finished my dream. I played, D1 college soccer for 4 years. Amazing experience, University of Memphis. I did Fulgham College of Business. So I was learning, like, business economics, marketing, all that. I thought I was gonna get this job, like, in the banking world. I would go into some investment banking. Like, I thought it'd be cool. Like, my friends' parents were doing all that. And I was like, I'm gonna go intern. I'm gonna get this job where I wear a suit and all these things. Yeah, that didn't happen. I came back from playing soccer and I had no experience. I ended up having to coach. I shouldn't say having to. I was afforded an opportunity to go coach, do some one-on-one training. Like, I was doing what I love. I thought I was going to go do soccer coaching and go finish, like, do my master's and all this stuff. And I remember going to this career fair at University of Memphis, and there was a group there, Wells Fargo Financial. And, wouldn't you know, like, I was their targeted avatar. They go, we want athletes. We want people that performed at a high level. We want people that are coachable. We will teach, we will train you. We will teach you everything about the business. We even don't want you to have experience. We want the rookies. And I'm like, that's me. That's me. That's me. And so I had this really sexy job in a strip center that we would dress up in, ties, and we would look professional. We were the people that would loan you money to finance your furniture for no payments, no interest for 5 years. We would hope to upsell you on car loan, personal loan, credit card, home equity line. If we got really lucky and good, we would do this massive debt consolidation with your home. And we were charging double the market, which the market was around 7%. We're 15% or higher sometimes. But I learned the skill of sales calls, call reluctance. We're in this, if you can imagine, open strip center office kind of bullpen. Everyone can hear everybody's conversations. So you're immediately getting feedback as you hang up. You're immediately able to listen to other people. We had sales contests. So they taught me everything about those, but I learned credit, income, assets. We were processing, underwriting, originating our own loans for all of that. Well, about 18 months into it, one of my friends was in the mortgage side at Wells Fargo, and he said, dude, you're working so hard over there and you're doing this and you're sending me all these referrals. Why don't you just come to mortgage? And I got offered a really cool opportunity. $2,000 a month, 2 months is what they got me for. And I had a great manager, Mike Carey, and then I had a mentor, Donald Simpson, a bunch of guys in the office that were just super successful. And so I joined that group, and that was my start into real mortgage side. And I told you I'm grateful because, man, I learned the skills in the consumer finance that I was able then to put into practice. When I get to the mortgage side, nobody made more calls than me. Nobody went out and made more open house sales calls than me. Nobody had really what I would say is like my pedigree of understanding how to put a loan together because I'd done consumer and all these other car loans, debt consolidation. Like I just didn't know what they knew. I didn't know you could fail. Like I just thought you went out and made a lot of calls. That's just what you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
So
What
and that
what
was
year
that was
was
my
that?
journey. 2001 when I started. December 10th was my
Okay.
first day. I'll add this is I got so many reps on the financial side that when I came to mortgage, we also had that kind of refi wave that I would stay late at night. We had the three-step refi, but I was still doing a ton of purchase, right? At my church, people, my friends were all buying their first home like I was. I had some friends that got into real estate or their parents were in real estate. Like I wasn't a refi guy. I was still out. I just didn't know any different. And I just was hustling. And after the first year, I got to be the top producer in the office. And I remember just looking back and I was like, Todd Duncan CDs, helping lead sales meetings. But all I'd say, I had people around me that already set the bar. And my competitive nature was like, how do I get to be on the top of that board?
So what part of the goal with the show is number one, let everybody understand that we all started in the same place, right? Like all of us started at zero and nowhere. And we had to get to somewhere, right? And there's a lot of different things, right? I mean, sometimes it's just cold calling. I know for me, even though cold calling was successful for the total of 6 hours that I did it. I was successful in it, but I hated doing it. I just couldn't get myself to keep doing it, so I didn't. I was very much a people person, so I ended up going to what my strengths were, and I started going to industry events. I started going to open houses. I started doing things that involved people because it didn't work for me on the phone. I'm trying to teach everybody that's listening, who either is brand new or stuck, what to do next. And I think we can do that by just kind of achieving your major milestones. So in the first year you became top producer, which is a huge feat, right? Like some would just say that's lucky because other people took several years, right? But it obviously wasn't because you went after it hard. Out of all the different things you tried, do you think there was one that was like the thing, or was it a combination of everything?
You know what I did? Looking back, it's easy to see. I didn't know it at the time. Is I had again just kind of this rookie mentality of like I didn't know what I didn't know. And I started to call on at that time. There were a lot of the condo conversions that were apartments turned into condo. And I had a friend that worked on some of those downtown Memphis. And I made a sales call and I just kept calling on this office. Henry Turley was a big developer in Memphis. And I just called on that. And that was my niche. And I became known as the person that our company did condos really well, condo conversions. We would underwrite those exceptionally well, get the project approvals and everything. And for me, I look back now and go, man, that was really wise because that was my niche, which then led me into some new home builders in the market where they're like, dude, if you can do condos, those are really tough. You could probably do our single family projects out here in the burbs, right? Like in the suburbs. And so I remember thinking back, everybody talked about how hard those were. They couldn't get in, they wouldn't do it. And again, it's just rookie. I didn't know any different. And so I look back now and I would encourage everybody, even today, I talk about this is find your niche. You know, one of our team members does really well with non-QM. It's something that we excel at across country. And I go, just be known for that and continue. The more people that know how good you are, you have all the testimonials, you have all the people talking about what a great experience they had. When you get known for that, then you go out and do the others. And I think too many people get caught up is they want to be all things to all people. Like, yeah, I work with first time home buyers. I work with investors. I work with out of state buyers. I work with, DSCR programs. I work with whatever. And it's like, if you don't have clarity of who you are, that's where it starts. It's much like, Dina, one of my mentors always talks about is you hear about the 7 streams of income, that every millionaire has and all these things. And the fallacy really of that is they all started with one and they
Yeah.
got great at the one. And then from that, then they diversified. The same would be true today. And I look back, that's what I did well. And then I was able to go out and market my database. Then I was able to go out and market real estate offices. But they all came from one big break. I love the book Ed Milet's got, The Power of One More. It was one for me. It was one connection that I just went deep, went deep, went deep with. And then that blossomed into other relationships, other opportunities. And so I would say do the same thing today. Just be great and let people, you have to be known for what you're great at, right? And when you share, that's building your brand, that's letting people know, that's getting your testimonials. Then you're able to diversify out.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I think it's worthy of, I don't know if you agree or not, but I tried all the stuff, and I ended up gravitating to what my strengths were, but also what brought me joy. So I think that's important. But I gotta say that all of those other things that I did, I think they were good training. Like it it do the hard things because it helps you even if it's not what worked, it helps you somewhere else. Doing those cold calls when you're new, calling up people you don't know, going on knocking on doors, whatever it is that you have to do. I think it builds your character and it builds your strength and your stamina so that number one, it tells you you don't like this, and that's okay, but you did it, right? And then you start moving. And then when you find that one, then you go deep into it. So I think that's important. So, question for you. Everybody gets to not everybody, a lot of people get to a point where they start getting busy, things are working. And from what I see, a lot of them struggle with a hey, I should hire somebody, but I'm either too scared to or too cheap to, or I don't have enough money to. Um, but from my personal experience, when I did, my business elevated to the next level pretty quick.
Yeah.
At what stage, I want to know like your next milestone, right? You're like starting to do pretty good, you're a top producer. You have to now manage probably some back end, you have to manage
Mhm.
relationships, you have to manage putting files together. How did you get to that next level? Because I don't care how good you are sometimes, unless you're working 24 hours a day, you just can't do all of it.
Yeah.
How did you get to that next level?
Oh, I hired an assistant and I knew I was at the point where, and you know this, it was a breaking point. Fortunately for me, we didn't have kids yet. And so I share this perspective with people is I was fortunate in that regard. My wife was an ICU nurse at the time. And so she was working. And so it kind of afforded me like I was just working all the time. But also recognized like my health was going to crap. I used to be an athlete and I was not performing that way. And I was able to hire Mandy at the time. I was very fortunate and I knew what I wanted. I knew what I needed help on, which is I didn't enjoy the documentation gathering. I didn't enjoy some of the follow up with the customers to get documents that were missing. And I wanted a second set of eyes before it went to processing and underwriting. So, where I'll tell you worked for me is I built relationships. At the time, our operations center was in Virginia Beach, and I would fly out there and I would go meet with our team, right? Because the same group of underwriters. And I would ask for feedback. And this is what I would encourage people to do. Like I look back and again, there's signs of what worked that I can see now that at the time I just didn't know any different. And I became friends with the underwriters and asked for feedback. Hey, what can we do to make our files better for you? Processing. What are the things you need to see from us? What are we missing? How can we make your job easier? Closing, all of that. But hiring Mandy was the step because for me, there's only so much output I could do in a day. And I brought somebody in that would complement what I did, which is I was great on the initial consultation. I was great at going out and making the sales. And I was great at the time, I was showing up to all my closings pretty much like almost every closing I would go because it was local. And I knew those were the places I needed to be. So in the milestones, if you map it out, where is it you really make the most difference? And then where are the bottlenecks or areas that if you were to say, if I put somebody here, my service level would go up to such a degree, my referrals would increase, the experience would be better, the bottlenecks would go away, and I would deliver a better product and service. And so I absolutely hired an assistant, and I'll say this to people. I'm thankful that my boss at the time, Mike, said, you're going to take them on. At the time, there was no freebies. I paid for the assistant. So I did not. So I share that so people know, it's like, I went and invested my own money and said, I'm going to take this out of my commission and make less because I believe having this team member will allow me to do more business. Or wouldn't you know, I end up doubling my production. Like, guys, it's not rocket science. There were other people in the office that had assistants, and I'm looking going, what are they doing? How do they use their assistant? Okay, I like this. I don't like that. I wouldn't do it that way. That's how you learn, and you model it for you and learn from others that are further down the road that have been doing it, and then just go implement. We would have our pipeline meetings every day, was one of our routines, and we would go through things together. Hey, what have we got for the day? Who do we need to follow up with? Who's closest to the finish line that we need to work on that's not clear to close? Who are some people that are pre-approved that we need to follow up with? Like, build your systems and routines in such a way that you're driving results. You got to own it.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I took out of that, just to paraphrase for a lot of people. You are in an industry that has no ceiling. You can go as high as you want to go, and if you're working for a company that likes to have their structure and you have to follow it, that's cool. But if it's not working for you, or if there's a better way for you, like Brian just said, he hired that assistant with his own money. Don't sit here and rely on the structure of your company and rely on everybody else in regards to your success. Your success comes from what you want to do with it, right? So if you have to go hire somebody, if you have to create a new system that works better with how you work, then that's what you should do. And if you're not at a company that supports that or even allows that, then maybe that's a problem and you need to move on, right? But take this out of what he just said, and that is very simply, you know you have to take control of your future. And ultimately, that might mean a little bit of risk of hiring somebody. That might mean stepping into a new role, or realizing you have to step out of a role, right? Because you might be getting in the way. So one question I have for you now is, what you did in those early years, and you were still fairly young, right? Like in your 20s.
Yeah.
That doesn't always come inherently to people. Were
No.
you getting did you have coaching? Did you grow up with a dad in business, or how did you even come up with that? Because a lot of people would never even think through that stuff.
Yeah, for me, I had a great manager. So I'll just say Mike was there, and I had people that would guide me, and I knew what my gaps were. Like, I knew where the frustration was. Like, for me, it was just that kind of self-awareness of, these are the parts I don't like to do, or these are the parts that are bottlenecking. I think we all probably have some ability to look at that today in our business and say, this is what it is, and let's go attack it. I did have enough people in the office already that were successful. They were ahead of me in the sense of, like, they already had assistants. And I would just ask, like, what do you do with your assistant? What's there? And then here's a crazy idea. Ask that assistant or team member, whoever you add, loan partner, whatever the title, ask them to look at the business and give you feedback. So Mandy was great at that. And that's what I looked for, is I wanted someone that wasn't just a paper pusher, was like, as the business grew, I needed to know they would grow with me. And so one of the things I would always ask her, and I would just say, hey, Mandy, like, where are you seeing the bottlenecks? Where do we need to be with this? Hey, do we have enough in the pipeline? Like, be a partner in this. And I think people, one, they don't train their new team members well or at all. And so they wonder why they don't have the output or the success. It's because there wasn't a training. Two, you need to grow together. So are you developing them? And I even think about today, like, my executive admin that works with me does everything from social media to some recruiting functions to business development functions. Like, if I don't help her have clarity of what those roles are and what's expected, and they're not growing with the business, you won't have it. So, to answer your question, no, my dad was a psychologist, so very fortunate in that he did his own thing, but not necessarily business savvy, right? That wasn't where his strengths were. And some of this, look, you just have to learn and ask questions. And the person that's the most curious and asks the best questions and is willing to be coachable, meaning, I would ask people all the time at, like, President's Club, different things like, what are you doing? What's working for you? How's your team set up? Because outside of our group and our region, there were also these other successful people. So we'd meet up. We have that opportunity today to collaborate outside your company, inside your company. Ask other successful people, what are they doing? What do you wish you had done? Just like the conversation we're having. And if you get all of that information, then you just need to go execute quickly. And something I've done as just an athlete is I'm not afraid to take an idea, and I've failed a ton of times. Just I just go implement sometimes, like right away, and realize, oh, I probably should have thought that through a little more.
Do you remember what kind of volume you were doing back then?
Well, we were more unit based, so I'm embarrassed to tell you, probably our average loan size was under 200,000. So well over 100 units, maybe
Like a
close to.
car loan in California.
Oh, man, right. Like, I mean, when people ask, "What was your volume?" I'm like, "Well, let me back you up to 2003, 4, 5, some of those years." Like, my average loan size was probably about $170,000 at that time
Wow.
in Memphis. Um, but I also wanna share this as bankruptcy capital. So the credit we were dealing with, the DPAs we were dealing with, everything that I was dealing with on condo conversions. I also tell you, like, I probably was doing some of the more difficult loans once I realized, like, there was this world that people actually paid 4 and $500,000 for a house, which was a lot in our market. At the time, I was like, "Oh, so you mean you're gonna pay me on the loan size? Like, this is really cool." So I did get better as time went on, but when I started, that was really my niche, and, probably in that range, 150, 200 units, probably at the peak, which was a lot of customers.
And when did you start, like, getting to that next level, with more people, with team members, with stuff? When did you get into leadership?
So several years into it, I got identified and I was at Wells Fargo, and I got identified to be more of a leader. And I'd been speaking at sales meetings, talking about technology, a lot of the Todd Duncan stuff, high trust sales and marketing, all that. I was a table coach at what we called high performance sales. Like, I got invited to do a lot of cool things. So then by default, I got added into, hey, let's let you build a little sales team. So I built a sales team. Then the branch manager, area manager. At one point, I was a regional builder sales manager. So I was at Wells 13 years. So I did a lot of different things, and I got to learn all of the condo new construction that I'd been originating on and teaching others business development across several states. And so I got to do some cool roles that were there. And what I tell you is, I decided for me, my joy was always in coaching. Remember, I thought I was going to go be a coach in soccer. Like, I'd gone and got what my B license, A license is the top in the country. And I thought I was going to go coach. And so it's always been my desire to never be the top producer. That was just never my path. After I produced for a while, I just always found my joy, my excitement was, how do I be a rainmaker for others? I love the business development side. I love the training and coaching side of things. And so since then, and then when I made my move after 13 years, I got into a spot that was all about recruiting and growing a region. I was like, man, I love this. I'm not good at it, but I'm going to figure it out. And that's been my passion since then.
So you were at Wells Fargo for 13 years?
13 years.
Wow. And you've also mentioned Todd Duncan a few times.
Yeah.
So he's a mentor of mine. Um, Love the guy. Taught me an awful lot, not just about loans, but also just how to manage a business and life. With kids and wife and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Was he one of the first coaches that you seeked out?
He was. And I'll tell you, I was fortunate because at Wells, he had, the agreement with them. And I didn't even know who Todd was back like 2001, 2002. I was like, this is awesome. And I remember just needing that because I was getting a lot of the support in the branch for like day to day things. But when his CDs would come, that dates me. But I was just like, dude, I don't know any different. And again, it was that mentality, like rookie mentality of like, I don't know any different. And what I noticed though, is a lot of people weren't either listening to the kind of content he's putting out, or they weren't implementing it. And it wasn't, I would love to tell you it was like all intentional. Like, I just went out and did it and I had this idea that I was going to go teach other people. What happened is I started just implementing it and doing it. And people asked, like, how is this guy having success? Like, what is he doing? And my manager, kudos to him, is he would have me present at some of the meetings like, hey, Brian, you're going to be presenting at the next sales meeting, and I want you to talk about what you learned. And I would then take that, condense it, and teach. Which, this, when you learn something, if you can teach it, that's the next level to other people. And so it did start to establish some of that leadership, credibility. I was a captain my last 2 years of not only high school team but our college soccer team, and so I did have some leadership um, skills, I guess I would say, or experience, but nothing like what I would eventually learn in business.
Yeah, it's interesting. It might be a little before your time. Do you remember a guy named Joe Stump from By
Of
Referral Only?
course, of course.
Okay. He's the first one I went to.
Wow.
And what you said reminded me of something. I went with two other people from my office. All of us were just a little bit younger in the industry, right? And I remember they both changed their email to what Joe Stump said to do. And that's it. That's all they did. It's like, do you really think your business is going to grow if that's all you did? Did you not hear anything else? And then because you said it, either they're not listening or, which I think even more so, they're not implementing. And if you don't implement some change, you're just never going to achieve anything, right? If you're unhappy with where you're at, what do you have to do to fix it? You have to make some change. So anyways, I think coaching is I've been an addict of coaching over all the years. No matter how good I ever got in my numbers, right? Like one would one would think that when you achieve over 100 million, you don't need coaching. I would argue that you actually need even more coaching because as I was growing into phases I've never been into. I've never been there. So now that I'm there, I got to 100 million, but I was working my ass off. And that means I was doing something wrong, right? So then it was like, okay, let me get some coaching on how to make my system better. And I was able to get to 150 million. And guess what? I actually worked less at 150 than I did at 100. Actually, I worked less than I did at 50. So I think coaching for anybody listening right now is probably one of the absolute best things you could ever do. And it's way more than learning a technique that helps you do more business. If you do it right, it'll actually help you stay married and give you more successful kids as well, you know? So let me ask you, let's switch gears for a little bit. Our industry, as we all know, has big highs and some big lows and a bunch in between. I don't even want to ask you if you've had a low because I just have to assume you have. You know, but have you ever been at a point where you actually thought about getting out of the industry?
Multiple times, multiple. Like even this year, um, I think just be real with people. Like there are times that I look and go, I stay in the industry because of the people, and I believe my calling to serve people. But the industry at times can be somewhat toxic depending on who you're around. You put so much emphasis on your numbers and your production and your income and all these things. And I think if you allow yourself, you can get sucked into this world and you're like, man, I don't like the industry. I'm going to quit. I'm going to go somewhere else. But I'll tell you, every time what I've learned is it was a me problem. It was me. It was my perspective. It was what I was choosing to see and focus on. And then when I shifted my focus back, and I know people think this is silly, at times you'll hear the word gratitude or these things, but I chose to just look at the things I'm grateful for. And it always started with the people. And I look back, and you have this. It's like there's a lineage and there's a group of people throughout our years that I can look back and go, their lives and their families are better because I showed up during the season that I was able to work with them. It wasn't about the production and the numbers and all the things. It's like they became better leaders, better humans. They accomplished things they didn't think they would do. I had someone the other day reach out to me and they're on this crazy weight loss journey. They haven't drank alcohol in over a year. Like these things that to me, that's what I want people to remember about what Brian impacted. Because yes, you and I can help people do a lot more production. Yes, we can help you make more money. But I think about one of our team members, and I got him connected up with a tax strategist because he's having his best years ever. And I just shared with him, I said, he's younger and I won't give away too much, but just to share is like, I know one of the things I wish I had sooner is somebody guiding me through some of those years that I had great years. And like our team did really well, and thus I did well. And I didn't know what to do with that money. I didn't have great habits and I didn't know tax strategies and all these things. I go, if you can help someone, that could change their trajectory and their family and their life and the stress that's there. So I had plenty of those, man. One of the darkest hours was I had a leader that turned on me, um, that I looked up to, respected, and out of the blue called me and was like, "Man, I don't think you're a fit here anymore." And as I started to ask, I'd actually been kind of falsely accused of something that turned out to be absolutely not true whatsoever. And I'm just literally thinking, "You've heard about this with other people?" I don't know if you ever had that moment, Dino. Like, I've heard about other people having that, and I'm like, "Well, that would never happen to me because like I wouldn't do that." And then I got accused of something. I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" End up standing up, doing what's right, fighting for it. That group finally comes clean. Is like, yeah, that didn't what happened. I'm like, man, one of my darkest hours thinking, is this really how leadership is going to be? And as they talk about leadership can potentially be lonely, I'll just say be really selective of who you surround yourself with. There are a lot of people in our industry that I would do anything for. Like literally, I would do anything for them. There is also a group, and this is every industry. They are not the right people. They are at different intentions, and you need to be able to discern that as you go through. And in my career, where I've messed up is I didn't have discernment in certain seasons with certain people, either that I hired, I made some bad hiring decisions, or people I aligned myself with. And I can tell you, when you get that right, your life becomes a lot better. And man, I wish I could tell you like the whole 23 years has just been like this, like roses and sunshines and all the things there. I'm in a season now, man. Like we're starting over. I think I'll share with you at CCM. And I said, this is what I want to build. This is my vision. And leaving behind something that was already built and successful to go, I'm gonna go build this. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Next 10 plus years. This is our baby. This is what we build. 20 years, hopefully, however long, we get to do this. And I think having the courage is what I would tell people to stand up for what you believe, always have your integrity and character, and align yourself with great people. If you do that, you will go far. You will enjoy this ride. And when things are out of alignment, which they've happened to me before, that's when I had to get back to center and make a change. And every time it's worked out for the better.
Yeah, I think was it Jim Rome said that you are the average of the five people you hang around with the most, and it's no secret, right? Our industry has a lot of people in it that aren't the type of people you should be hanging around with. I
Yeah.
do think a lot of them have been phasing out. And I really love where our industry is going right now. And it's probably because it is difficult and the true professionals have stayed in. And I hope as things turn a little bit, somehow it stays at that upper echelon where we could be true mortgage advisors to our
Yes.
clients and just good people trying to serve families and looking at it as more than just getting a paycheck, looking at it as actually helping people, with a huge financial, you know, piece of their life. And more importantly, I've always looked at it as, the memories that are created within these walls of a house that really, I mean, it's joy, laughter, and sorrow and cry, and tears. And it's just, but those are the memories.
That's
I
right.
mean, I still drive by my old house every once in a while just because, the one I grew up in, right? Just because. And if we can all think about it from that perspective of what we're part of a team that's helped creating, generational memories and generational wealth if done right. And if we
Yeah,
can't step up to that, we shouldn't be in the industry. We should be doing something else.
that's right.
So moving on, let's get tactical for a second, right? Like I want you to put your coaching hat on, and you got a brand new mortgage advisor. I always say loan officer in training to be a mortgage advisor, and you want to help them by giving them the best advice you can from all the things that you have learned. If you could do anything over again,
Mm,
what would it be? How would you do it?
It's great advice. So, brand new mortgage advisor to the industry.
or
Yeah.
or let's just say even a year or two, right? Like
Okay.
struggling, wants to get to that next level, maybe even doing okay, but
Yeah.
they need some good, what would you do, tactical advice, right? Like what would you do over again?
So here's where I start is one we have to define success. I think this is where most people miss the mark is success needs to be defined in a couple different compartments of one, yes, the production and income. Like let's just not negate that. That is important. You got to provide for your family. In your situation, most everybody has to provide something there. So we do need to look at, okay, what are we trying to accomplish on an income level basis in starting out? I love 90-day sprints on that. And we can back into the numbers and reverse engineer this. And so if they want to make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, we need to back into that. And I would want to know how many customers do they talk through and pull through rates, meaning every conversation, how many people actually then apply with you. And then you can look at the next pull through. How many people apply with you? Do you then close? There are more metrics you can probably measure within there, but that's really simple, right? Conversation to conversion to close. If you can get that data, you'll know where your leakage is. And what I love within this is It will tell you if your conversation converts. If it doesn't convert from your initial consultation, and that's your major fallout, then that's where the next 90 days, we need to get great. I don't need to tackle these other buckets yet, because the reality is, if my biggest fallout, which many rookies, they don't even realize, that conversation up front never moves forward. Well, did we ask the right questions? Did we connect? Tell me about how you went deep to connect with them on a personal level. Do you know their kids' names outside of you taking an application? If you did, do you know what their goals are? And you said mortgage advisor. So I want to then sprinkle in some things with them of, if you're going to separate yourself from the competition, they're going to call you, they're going to know the rate, they're going to want to know programs, or want all that. I need you to dig deeper into what they're trying to accomplish. What's important to you about this mortgage process? Is it getting it fast? Is it getting it cheap, the cheapest rate out there? Is there some type of goal you have? Like, we need to ask questions. And I believe the person that can make the best connection and build trust will then be able to move forward. And then you can have earned the right to present a solution. But we skip this step. So, getting very tactical, it could look something like, Dino, you guys are looking to buy here, let's say in the Nashville area. Tell me what has you looking to move. What are some of your goals over the next 5 years being in that home? Do you think you're going to stay in that home?
High
Like,
trust interview, right?
thank you. Like, let's get great at this part. Like, and I mean, so good that everybody leaves the call and they're like, dude, I don't need to call anyone else. I don't know what Brian was doing. I call this the presence effect. Is I'm so present and locked in with them, and I'm asking them so many questions. I'm getting them to think about things they weren't thinking about. So you shift from being an order taker to an actual advisor. Now, I know you and I both love this too, is upfront one of the tools that I would give them, because this conversation's great. We need to get great at that. Total cost analysis. Let's just make it easy. I'm a big fan of Mortgage Coach. If you can get that TCA and show them, like I believe financial advisors do a great job of this, that we can look to. And if you can look at something and say, now when I'm ready to present, I've got options. So that would be the one tool that I would incorporate in there for them, that I believe would increase your conversion from that conversation. We've asked great questions. Now I want to move into conversion. If you just started doing a TCA with every single customer, imagine what your conversion would be. So I like that to start for 90 days, and we get great at it. And here's what I know. After 90 days, you're going to make some progress, but you're also still going to need to improve on it. But we have data, we have enough awareness to go, okay, the next 90 days, this is what we work on. We've gotten here. Here's the one thing we add. See, I believe we've just thrown the kitchen sink at everybody, like, hey, you got to be great at this, and you got to be great at this, and you got to be great at this. And have you tried that? Have you tried that? Build a system. One thing I would tell you today that I've started incorporating with people is, most of our conversations are still by the phone. People don't come in the office as much, right? Zoom. Zoom. How many customers could you get on a conversation that you see them eye to eye like we're doing right here?
Yeah.
That, for many people, builds the connection and will separate you from your competition. I guarantee you, there is a very small percentage of people that are actually doing that. And so again, if you want to get really tactical, those are things you could do today, regardless of what company you're at, where you work, where you are in the process. And if you implemented those things I just shared with you, watch how your conversions and your trust goes up.
So I heard a few things that I'll paraphrase again. I love the fact that you said do a 90-day sprint, and and it'll create data that we can now analyze. And that's, I think, I'm a huge data guy. The amount I always collect and analyze is quite a bit. I don't know how people don't do it. And I've realized that even the ones that think are good, they have nothing. I mean, just because you saved somebody's name and interest rate and maybe some of their needs or something, that's not enough, guys. Like, you got to start tracking everything. Even if you have to spend a little money building out, I spent over 10 grand building out an Excel spreadsheet years ago, because that's what we had back then. But over 10 grand building out a killer Excel spreadsheet just so I could track, from the time I get the referral, how long did it take to get a consultation appointment? And from the consultation, how long did it take to get the documents in? And from the documents, approval to processing to, or I should say pre-approval to processing approval, loan docs, funding, and then referral. So to me, it wasn't even like it didn't stop when it funded. Is how long did it take me to get a referral from that person? Like you guys,
Yeah.
those are metrics that you got to start thinking about if you want to be successful in this business. Because like Brian said, if you don't have any data, what are you going to analyze? I mean, how are you
Yeah.
going to get better?
Yeah.
So I think that was a huge piece. I loved, I'm a mortgage coach fan as well. I love doing TCAs. Um, I would say, something Dave Savage told me a long time ago. He was trying to get me to use it, and I bought it, but I never used it. I was like, man, I'm the stupidest guy in the world. I'm paying $100. It was at the time it was $100 a month, and I'm like, I'm not even using this thing. And then he kept on me. He kept on me, and then finally he just said, like, listen. I told him people don't question me like they're being referred to me. I don't have to win the deal. I'm just getting it, right? He goes, Dino, just trust me. If you do a TCA for somebody, you do it properly, you will your the perception they have of you will elevate. I know you
Right.
think it's here, but it'll go to here. And you'll see, I know you already get referrals, but you'll see the quantity of referrals you'll get will be tenfold. And finally I did it. And the very first one I did, it was actually a lady that was at Wells Fargo, and it was a jumbo loan, and jumbo loans were tough, right? Like the bigger banks have us on those. And I came in with my TCA. I did a full explanation. I even did an analysis over the next 5 years because that's really her. Because I asked that question, just like you said, like, what are the goals? How long are you going to keep this house? If you don't ask these tough questions, you're not going to know anything about your client and their needs, right? And she came back and she said, wow, this was amazing. I can't believe you heard everything I said and proposed an offer to me in this way. And it was a quarter point higher than Wells Fargo, and she took it. At that point I had to bow down to Dave and say you were right. And from that moment forward, every single deal, no matter what, whether it needed it or not, and trying to remember that in your head, whether it needs it or not, you're going to have a presentation that you're going to give to your clients. So that's great advice. Are there any other tools like Mortgage Coach in another arena that you use, whether it's AI or CRM or something that you're just a huge fan of?
I think finding the CRM that you're going to use, right? And a lot of companies, like we provide a CRM, which I think ours is pretty robust. I'm blessed that we've got something there. Is you do need something, I believe, on the automated side that's just set it and forget it. I do believe that that needs to exist, right? That's a component. The one I would tell you that I would lean on that I say is a must is I believe right now you have to build a personal brand. We can't argue about this anymore. It is one of those separators that people are going to look up and they're going to wish they had a brand. Because what I know is the amount of research through ChatGPT, if they still use Google, wherever they go, when you get referred, people are going to look you up. What are they going to find when they go online? Is it your reviews? Is it a professional website? If they go to your LinkedIn profile, if they find you out there, you need to understand that that is instant credibility in a way for you, just like a TCA would be, to just separate yourself from the competition. I want you to think about this. The agent refers two people, let's just say in this scenario, and they go to Dino's site. Dino's got this lovely website. It looks amazing. He's got customer testimonials all over the place, like hundreds of them, maybe even 1,000 with all the people he's worked with. It looks awesome. Picture of him. He's got some videos, some education. They're like, man, this guy knows what he's talking about. This is great. Like he looks friendly. He's got all these people saying how wonderful he is. They were given my card. They go to my website, and I don't even have a picture. Maybe there's some pictures, maybe just me going out, hanging out on the boat, or like playing soccer. There's no testimonials. The website, yeah, it's okay. Guys, which one are you picking? Picking Dino. It's so simple, but we overlook this today. And the other part of building a brand I want people to think about is there's this word ubiquitous. You want to be everywhere. And more importantly, you want to be where your customers are. More customers now are going in and searching, whether it's TikTok, ChatGPT, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever. They are searching for someone before they go to the real estate agent. The stats are showing this is growing. So we can't deny the data is telling us people start there and then they go back. Many times they don't even remember their real estate agent name if they've worked with someone. They don't remember the loan officer's name. So we need to play the game the way the game is being played. And if I'm looking for someone in a particular space, yes, I'm asking friends and family for referrals. But immediately after that, I'm going and checking out their website. I'm going and checking out their social profile. If I don't have a referral, I'm searching online. Maybe I've seen someone, they do a lot of videos, they're educating me, they seem like they know what they're talking about. Like, I trust them because I've seen them show up months and years. This is the way the game is played. And we had Grant Cardone on our show recently, and Grant said this: best known is going to beat best. Best known is going to beat best. Meaning, if I'm more known than my competition in my market, I'm going to get more at bats. I'm going to get more looks. I'm going to get more opportunities. I might not be the best. And I think too many of us have tried to play the game of, yes, you need to strive to be your best. You need to strive to have all of the education and the tools and all the stuff. But can you tell me you haven't lost to somebody that you know was not as good a loan officer as you, didn't have the same products, pricing, support, closing? You know they didn't get the best experience because they didn't work with you. They worked with someone that was inferior. Guys, it happens every day. How does it happen? Best known beats best majority of the time.
Yeah.
Strive to be
Great.
both.
Great advice. Great advice. Hey, did you happen to ask Grant Cardone if he was going to run for governor of California?
That was one of the topics they had proposed. We decided not to talk about it. So I think the jury's out, but I know he's looking at that. Yeah, we stayed in the housing, economics, investing, Bitcoin, multifamily real estate. It's a very, very cool conversation we dove into. We even tackled Dino. I thought you were going to ask me his comments about people shouldn't buy, they should rent. We actually broke that down in a different context and got more information. It's worth a listen.
Is it live right now?
Yeah, it's up.
I'll tell everybody how to find it, how to find your podcast.
Oh yeah, go to Apple. It's on there, and you can see Competitive Edge Podcast, or you can search for my name. Either way, you'll see it on there. Grant was probably about 4 or 5, maybe 6 episodes ago.
Okay,
It's a
cool.
good one.
I'm gonna go watch it for sure.
Yeah, on
All
YouTube
right.
too, if you want to see him.
Okay, awesome. So a few more questions, then we're done. Just kind of rapid fire. Your favorite book?
Ooh, I'm gonna go with The Power of One More right now. I just started rereading that one from Ed Milet.
Okay. And do you have a favorite quote?
Um, Man, that's a good one. I'll tell you the one that got me through college. It's funny. We're circling back to the beginning of the conversation, and it's a Philippians verse. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That got me through not only the Cooper test, but some really tough times in college and just through my life. That's been a verse, Philippians 4:13. It's got me through some
Yeah,
seasons.
awesome. And if I took you right now away from your family, away from everybody, you don't know anybody, and I just dropped you somewhere in the United States and said, you have to become $100 million producer, right? You know everything you know. You don't have a ton of money. You have enough to get things going and do stuff. And you can't go see your family again or talk to them until you hit your 100 million. What do you do? How do you get going? You don't know anybody at where you're at.
I would lean into what works for me, which is I love sports. I work out at the gym quite a bit. You know that. I would go to places that I have common interests with people that are probably like the higher paying gyms, try to get in there, maybe even coach on the side. And so that way, if I didn't have money, that I could actually do that and get into a gym. That's where people are actually, I believe, the movers and shakers, real estate agents, title, all the financial advisors, all those kind of people. I would go to places that I know, I understand, and start to build connections and then move from that. And one of the ways is I would do a dinner and have people pay a little bit to come in, but like a high networking event, bring all of the power players that I can figure out in that city together and really advertise it as this is a networking collaboration type dinner, bring everybody together. I've had some friends actually do that. And interesting enough, we've done that in Nashville, and the connections that come from it, you'd be super surprised. People want to be known and seen, and they want to be part of that elite group. So if you invite them in and structure it the right way, I think you make immediate connections.
Very cool. I'm gonna just validate your gym theory. I remember going to 24-hour fitness, right? And I was grandfathered in at like $8.50 or something stupid. And
Nice.
and then finally one day I decided to make that move and I took that step up and it was like $80 a month. And And it's funny looking back, I don't know why I cared about that because I was spending more than that at dinner every time. And I was like too cheap to spend that. But I finally did it. It was a nicer gym. And then they raised the price like 120 bucks. But I loved the gym at this point, right? It was that high end gym. And I don't know, less than a year passed. And I remember I got my first loan out of it and I made $10,000. I was like, there you go. There you have it. Right. And then from there, it just kind of snowballed. And it was, I have three great referral partners that are still giving me business. I have past clients from there now, all because I was willing to spend just a little bit of money to put myself in the right environment where the people are that I want to be a part of. So, hey man, listen, thank you so much for joining us, for all the wisdom that you shared with us today, and just keep up everything you're doing. I love the content you put out there and the person you are. So, appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, Dino. I'm glad we made this happen. And man, keep being you too, because I think the world needs more people to shine their light and be that lighthouse and just show up and do good in the world.
Guys, remember, we're here to empower, equip, and educate you the way lending should be done with the best in the business. If you enjoyed what you saw, please share it with your friends. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff that helps us out. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.